All right, cockatiel.
Warning. This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language,
That's really
and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion advised. You've been warned. Oh shit. We are live, everybody on my channel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. And today, like most days, I have my Wednesday night homeboy, my brother from another mother, the one and only Golf T Vapes here with me. TJ, how the fuck are you doing tonight, brother?
I'm fantastic. I'm ready to talk some shit. As always. Let's do it.
Hell yes. Thank you for being here as always. So as we do to kick things off around here, we're going to start right up at the tippy top with some news and recent events. And speaking of news and recent events, look at the pop-in that we just got.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is that guy? How you doing, brother?
Good. How you guys doing?
Not too shabby, not too shabby. Got a little news to talk about and then some card to break down. How you been?
Doing better.
Good. Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Good to see you. So,
Yeah, man.
right up at the tippy top here, we'll start. For a change, I've got to say it's nice. The news and recent events is actually smaller than the card talk, and it's not been that way. It's been the flip-flop for at least a good couple of cards here. So it's nice to catch just a little break in the holy shit between cards just for a moment. I know it's not going to be long because we've got some craziness coming up, but first thing I want to talk about, Bellator. Scott Coker went on Ariel Helwani Monday and officially released the lineup for the featherweight Grand Prix. Now, we knew from last week that they were going to right out the gate some point during the Grand Prix. The first matchup they announced was going to be Pitbull versus Juan Archuleta. Now we know the rest of the matchups, and nobody really got it easy. Like, the featherweight Grand Prix over at Bellator is about to be pretty fucking good. And there's going to be some great matchups in there. I'm not going to read them all down because that's worth people looking into, but keep your fucking eyes peeled, folks. Look into that. I promise you there's going to be a fight or two in that Grand Prix you're going to want to keep an eye on. And those belts, they may be a change in hands real soon. Next thing I want to talk about real quick, they have made a couple of different announcements for the September 28th card over on the UFC side. The first one, we have got Macy Chiasson versus Lena Landsberg. We have got Ian Cutelaba versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. And
that's going to be good.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. But then they announced just last night that I saw confirmed OSP versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Yeah, that fucking guy. So the UFC is back in the business of throwing soup cans to OSP to try and keep his fucking name relevant, it seems. Like it or not. But, you know, what are you going to do? At least some of that card is shaping up. There's others that looks like might be filler fights, but we'll see how it shakes out once we get a little closer to September. There's still a lot of time between now and then. Back over to the other side of the board again for Bellator. For Bellator 229, they have officially announced another former UFC man going over to Bellator to try and make waves. Lorenz Larkin is going to fight Koreshkov, and holy shit, is that a banger waiting to happen. That is an interesting matchup, and I think that that's really going to let everybody know if Lorenz Larkin really has fallen off or if he was just facing that stiff a competition over in the UFC, because Larkin is no fucking slouch in his own right. So they're not giving him any soup cans out the gate. They're throwing him right to fucking Koreshkov, and that's going to be a hell of a fucking introduction. But I think it'll be a great benchmark to see just exactly where Larkin stands. Next thing I want to talk about real quick here, during the course of this week, of course, as they fucking tend to do from time to time, TMZ managed to get a hold of Dana White and let him say stupid shit. So this week's interesting snafu that stumbled out of his fucking mouth was that he will never let Jorge Masvidal fight Conor McGregor because he will never let Conor McGregor fight at 170 again. He said he didn't like that he did it once, and he really didn't like that he did it twice, that there's no way he would let Conor do it a third time. And I think that's possibly one of the stupidest fucking things that anyone, let alone Dana White, could ever say about Conor McGregor at this point in the fucking game. If you haven't learned, when you tell Conor McGregor you can't do something, that's the next fucking thing he wants to do. So I think that was definitely dangling the wrong carrot in front of the wrong fucking horse. And since he's technically retired right now anyway, there's nothing to stop him from legitimately bulking the fuck up more and preparing himself for a 170 even exhibition match just to spite Dana for making some stupid fucking comments like that.
You know, maybe there was maybe this may have been a little foreshadowing of, we're not going to tell you, but this is happening, but we're going to tell you it's not because
Right,
I know
because we're working
he
on
knows
it.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows how Connor is. So,
Yeah.
of course, and Connor draws enough where if Connor says, yeah, let me fight Street Jesus, I want to watch that fight. I don't care.
You bet your ass. I am not going to advocate for that fight to happen, but you bet your sweet ass I will be glued to my fucking television if that fight gets made. So I think,
that would be ridiculous. That'd be a one-round fight.
oh, maybe not. It'd be very interesting the way it actually shook out.
Well, I mean, it could be a couple rounds, and then Masvidal do what he did to Till, and smoke him,
There's always that possibility, but also that Mystic Mac iron left fucking cross is always there as well. So especially at 170, even fucking Nate caught one and fucking wobbled hard on that shit. So there's always a possibility of it going tipsy the other way as well.
It'd be interesting. I'm not going to say I go out of my way, yes, please do that fight, because that's
Right.
not really what I'd like to see. But, I'll watch it. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not gonna scream or start a fucking change.org petition for Dana to make that happen, but definitely tune in if he fucking puts it on for us. But speaking of things that I'm definitely not gonna fucking advocate for, but I am gonna have to fucking watch, confirmed as of 9 p.m. last night, September 14th on the UFC's card will be headlined by one Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje. Now, I think this is absolute fucking bullshit. I think that Cowboy should be in the fucking number one contender spot right now. I think he absolutely, realistically, should be fighting Khabib for the fucking belt over Poirier in any sensible world. But the fact that now they're going to trip him up again from his title run with Gaethje, who I love, but is not a fucking number one title contender by any stretch of the imagination right now, is aggravating to say the fucking least. Now, I'm glad both dudes are getting fucking main card. It's gonna end up being a fucking fight of the night, so there's gonna be fucking bonus money. But the fact that this potential roadblock to Cowboys' fucking title contention run, which he has legitimately been on against everyone they have thrown him, could be sidetracked because Gaethje is a fucking zombie when you hit him in the face. You literally have to put that man to stop him. He will not stop, and he's shown that in several fights where he will literally fucking walking dead straight at you without the ability to even throw his own fucking limbs and eat punches. You have to put him to sleep.
It's like Chris Lieben when he was early in his career.
Yeah, man, you have to fucking put him out because otherwise he will march until you stop.
Does that mean we can call him Justin the Crippler Gaethje?
Oh, potentially indeed.
I'm just saying, toss those two together, they're about a horse apiece on those ones.
Well, I know this is a tangent, but that's why for people who had never seen Silva before, right? When he came in and just toppled over Lieben, they had to pick the jaw up off the floor,
Yep. But it's, again, like we were saying, it's one of those, I'm not going to advocate for the fight, but you're damn right I'm going to watch it. Now, in the vein that seems to be fairly strong, at least in this week's news, of former UFC guys making moves when they're heading to other departments, just announced this afternoon, confirmed Miles Fury Jury has officially signed with Bellator, and Scott Coker says he plans to put him on a card before the end of the year. So I'm not happy at all that that guy's not in the UFC anymore, because Miles Jury is a fucking soldier and one of the most entertaining mixed martial artists anyone could ask for. Now he's over in Bellator, and that sucks for the UFC, but that's great for Bellator, because as well as picking up a couple of used soup cans, Bellator lately has been legitimately scooping up some great names that the UFC, I feel, has been pretty fucking dumb in letting go. And Miles Jury, in my opinion, is one of those in that fucking column. That was a stupid move for the UFC to let him go.
Cool.
He is top caliber.
Bellator has money through sponsors. You know what I mean?
Do. Yes, they do.
And
They are not
even though
tied
they're
down
not
to
as,
Reebok.
they're not, yeah, then the way it's structured with Reebok, the guys that we know are great, but don't have the statistics or whatever, they get paid less. You know, they're getting screwed out of money.
Yep.
They go to Bellator, they sign a contract for 3, 4, 2 fights, whatever. They're guaranteed X, Y, and Z, and then you can get your own sponsors.
Yep, and then you can do your own shit again. That's right. And that everybody knows, that's what fighters have been saying for years since the UFC has started tying that shit down, that no matter who the sponsor is that the UFC runs them through, their own sponsorship and their own individual branding will always make it more beneficial for them as the fighter to be able to get paid.
I'm just saying, put Condom Depot back on people's asses. That's all I'm saying.
There was some beautifully placed brand advertisements on the old school fight kits that you just can't even come close to with the Reebok unicolor nonsense. Like the quick lube spots right in the oil check spot. Like there was some gems back in the day. And I think that at least outside of the UFC, as long as that's still a thing, I think that's good. And I in situations like this, I agree. Make that fucking money, son. Miles Jury is far from over as far as career is concerned.
Oh, dude, he's super young.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a very, very nice career over in Bellator. But that will bring us to the end of the news and event segment. That will lead us directly into our meat and potatoes of the episode here. The reason for the conversation we're having this weekend's UFC San Antonio card. Now, unlike most of the cards that we have had recently, this one is very little filler, whole lot of thriller. And it's very nice to get back to that, because at one point in time, virtually every card the UFC would put on for us had just a little bit of fluff and all the tough that you wanted to make the fucking event worth tuning into, even if they stuffed it on fucking ESPN Plus. Now, it hasn't quite been that way for a lot of the cards in 2019 so far, but at least for this weekend's sake, we're getting back into that. So where I want to jump in, we're going to dive past a little bit of that fluff that they're going to stuff in the prelims, and I'm okay with that because that's what prelims are for. The first thing that I want to jump into and talk about real quick is the return of a man that, for better or for worse, has been in some of the greatest highlight reel moments of the flyweight division's history, and that is one Ray Borg coming in this weekend against Gabri Silva. Now, it has been a hot damn minute since we have seen Ray Borg in the octagon, and granted, it may not have been the best of circumstances the last time we did get to see him in there, but given the flying armbar of video game status aside, Ray Borg is and has been for a long time still a very serious threat to anyone in the 125-pound division. You can't let the Matrix-like moves of Demetrius Johnson when he threw that fucking shit on his arm deter you from the fact that Borg is legitimate in every facet of his game. He's a great striker. He's a great wrestler. He's got submission. He's got a chin. The kid's not bad off. He just caught some bad press because he was in some bad situations. Then he caught some glass that legitimately fucked his eye up when Connor had his dolly incident. So there was that. But hopefully, now that he has got everything seemingly in both his personal and professional life back on track, I hope this is going to be a chance for us to see Ray Borg get out of this weird shadow that he's kind of been shunned into and get a chance to shine. And I hate to say it, but it kind of seems like the UFC is, I don't know if it's intentional or unintentionally, but it seems like they're throwing him a soup can to give him kind of a stepping stone back into the limelight. And it gives me melancholy feelings here because on one hand, I love Ray Borg. He's a fucking great fighter and he never fucking quits. Like, you have to make that man stop as well. But the UFC really feels that he's fallen out so fucking far they got to soup can him back into existence. So nothing against Mr. Silva here, but I got to go with Ray on this one because I got to think at this point, even he knows exactly how important this fight is. And soup can or not, you've got to put on a performance at this point. So you're on a prelim card. I think Ray's going to do it. It's a matter of, is the ring rust going to be enough to keep him from doing it early, or is he going to really have to fucking work to fight a soup can and hope to not end up at a decision?
That can go. Look, I will say this. When you come back and you are a perennial contender for a long fucking time at the division, and they feed you a UFC 3 unlockable character that doesn't even have a picture yet, they're fucking you. They're fucking you bad. They're not taking you out for dinner. They're not even asking. This is forced. This shit gets people thrown in federal prison, what they're doing to him right now. Put that man up at like, fuck, I don't expect him to fight a top 10 fighter coming back, but at least give him a number like 15 or something. Because he's worth it. The dude made a run at the fucking title when the best 125-pound king of all time and will never have that spot taken from him, in my opinion. Did some fucking Matrix type fucking flying arm bars. Some shit you'll never see again, especially not from Crin Chudo. But it's an all Ray Borg show. Sorry, Gabriel. I'm sorry you're the soup can that hasn't unlocked your picture yet. You're still missing on the milk carton. You'll get there one day.
Hey, you should tag him in this.
I think this might be the most exposure he's gotten so far, aside from having his name on the actual card.
Yeah. You never know. I mean, all I could think of the whole time is, well, I can't say anything else than what's already been said. But it goes back to the OSP that you talked about, fighting the Russian guy. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, this puts OSP in more of a gatekeeper role and saying, like, if you can be OSP, we'll give you some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, valid point. That's very true. And I mean, is not to kick a guy when he's down, but OSP has been on a real downward trend for his last couple of fights. And it seems like the UFC has kind of been throwing him soupier and soupier dudes, and he's still tripping over his own fucking shoelaces every time they put a spotlight on him. And it's like, I think at this point, you're right. I think they're going to use him as a gatekeeper in this situation. And if you can get around OSP, then welcome to the UFC. And maybe it's time for OSP to go out to that big farm in the country where they let you sign the Bellator contracts. But jumping along from there, the next fight that I want to take a second to talk about here, speaking of gentlemen who have found themselves slipping down career pathways and ending up in what very likely could be a gatekeeper position where put up or shut up, and this could be your last fucking go at the big show. Smiling Sam Alvey is fighting Klidson Abrab. Now, not to whip a dead horse too many fucking times, but this is another situation, like TJ says, where we've got a UFC 3 unlockable character status here against a guy who has had a chance to make something of himself, not only multiple times, but in multiple divisions now, and just can't fucking put it together no matter what the hell he does. And despite that smile, the fucking L's that you keep catching aren't enough to keep you in the UFC, in my opinion. And I think this is one of those moments where, like we were talking about, you're a gatekeeper at this point, and they're throwing nobodies at you. So you either got to put up or shut up. And if you can't perform, then they're going to put you on the fucking bus with old Borg here and take you out to the farm and let you sign that Bellator contract. I think in this situation, Smile and Sam don't have what it takes. I think the soup can gets him this time, and I think this may be the last we see of old Smiley.
I'd have to look and see what kind of fighter the other guy is, but just my instinct tells me he's a striking knockout guy. You know what I mean? And that's probably why they put him against Alvey, because they're going to go in there and bang until somebody's on the floor. And Alvey will win one or two and then lose one or two and then win one and lose one. And he's fought some tough guys, you know. Was it? I think probably one of the biggest names he fought was Nogueira.
Yeah, he's been in there with a couple of big names. Problem is that most of the big names he's been in there with turned him into a highlight reel for them.
I mean, that's who he is, though. That's how he fights.
Yeah,
you know?
At this point, we almost have to call him Slumping Sam Alvey.
You also got to know this is the guy who was fighting. I can't remember who he fought, but the guy he was fighting had beat Dan Henderson, and Sam Alvey had no idea. And Henderson is one of his coaches. Like, well, maybe not direct coach, but he comes from that. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
That same vein.
Yeah, I'm going right down the same line as you on this one, Meter. This is, I think, the fight that either puts him out to pasture or that keeps him here for a one more gatekeeper type role, because he hasn't been able to string enough together to do anything. There's a reason why he's on the prelims on this. Don't get me wrong, he always shows up, but he's cold more often than he is hot. So, and watching him fight, you don't know what you're gonna get. Nine times out of 10, you do. He's gonna get beat, but he's had some wars, but he never seems to end up on the right side of those. I think he chose the wrong team. He dipped when he should have dived or dodged, you know. But, yeah.
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, dodge.
Yeah.
French fry when you're supposed to pizza. Not gonna have a good time.
I do it because I like the taste.
So this is either going to be he's gone because he hasn't really shown shit. It's either he's gone or he stays. That's all I have a feeling that goes with this fight. This is probably the last fight on his contract with him. And if he doesn't win, they're going to cut him.
I think so. But moving on from Slump and Al's sad story, an interesting matchup where I can't completely say we're in the same vein, where it's not full soup can status, but I think this is another one of those situations where we've definitely got a lady who was competing at the top of the fucking tip top and now is, for lack of a better term, relegated to facing one of the very, very dangerous up-and-comers through the UFC. Talking, of course, about Raquel Rocky Pennington versus Irene Aldana. Now, this is an interesting matchup here because we've seen Pennington as well as, like we were just talking about, we've seen some hot and we've seen some cold here. Now, to be fair, when Raquel Pennington is hot, she is on fucking fire and she is a dangerous woman to stand in front of. On the other side of that, Irene Aldana has pretty much had a very similar run, albeit smaller in stature here. She's had moments where she is absolutely flash in the pan fucking hot, and then recently has been shown that she can absolutely come in cold as ice and just get fucking worked as well. So I think this fight particularly is going to come down more than anything to a matter of having the fight IQ. And I think in this situation, you're not really going to get more fight IQ than Rocky Pennington has got as the seasoned vet that she legitimately is. I don't think this is going to be an easy matchup by any sense of the word. I think it's definitely going to be some fireworks, but I think this one may be a little more technical here. I feel like Raquel Pennington is almost going to try and rope-a-dope, let Aldana get her groove going, and then figure out the timing, and then just start putting the work down and throw those fucking dangerous combos that she'll put right down the fucking pipe at you. And I think Raquel Pennington is going to take this one. I think it's going to be stoppage, whether it's knockout or just ref interference. I think it's going to be stoppage in the third here for Pennington.
my big thing is go ahead, Golf.
Did you just say referee interference?
I mean, at this point, realistically, with what we probably should have talked about in the news and recent events, the fucking horrible stoppages that we've had recently in both main events and co-main events from notable great referees, controversial at best, have been some fucking main event stoppages here lately. So I definitely would say by ref interference or by stoppage.
Now my big one is Rocky's heart in it. I still can't help but to question her based on in the fourth, in between 4 and 5. I don't want to do this anymore. Like,
to be fair though, Misha was working that ass too, so I can understand that.
No, that was
not Misha, but
Nunes.
Nunes, yeah.
Right, but if you quitting is I can't even explain what that does to you. You know, like when you're so broken physically and mentally that you don't want to do the thing you love anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that's forever, because she could have took the time off and had a great training camp and that fire's stoked. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's what I would be looking for, is to see if she's in it to win it or if she's in it for a paycheck.
True.
I was honestly just thinking the exact same thing about her, because the last notable win she had was against Tate. But notable.
Right.
But when she had that moment there between those rounds, Mason is, look, any other woman was probably thinking the same thing. They're just not going to say it out loud.
Right.
But the second you say that out loud,
it's real.
It's real. It's no longer, can I do this? Do I want to do this? It's no, I don't want to do this. I think that fire is fucking extinguished. I don't give a fuck how good your fucking camp was. You're not going to have a good day here. I don't think she's going to get the W. I think this is that part of that downward spiral where she eventually gets set out to pasture, although they will keep her here as long as she'll keep signing contracts. However, to be quite honest, after that fight with Nunes, I'm surprised she wanted to sign any contracts. Because you know what? When you quit in between rounds, why in the fuck would you sign another contract? You're obviously done. Your head's not in it anymore. If your head's not in it, when you're training, your head's not in it. I know you got beat like a fucking redheaded stepchild in Walmart, but there is no way in hell that you are back 100% in the game here. But Irene's going to take this one. I'm just going to say Viva la Mexico in this one, and that's all there is to it.
Viva la Mexico!
Oh.
Sí, amigos!
Oh, shit. I think it's definitely going to be an interesting match here. So now, moving from there in the prelim zone, that will jump us into the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes here, the main card itself. And we are going to start right at the tippy top with a tender, juicy morsel that Daddy Dana has tossed to us here in the form of one of, I think, honestly, one of the most even matchups we have seen maybe of 2019 so far here. Stylistically, age-wise, record-wise, experience-wise, just career path-wise, I think this is a perfect matchup for both gentlemen on this card here. And what we are talking about is one Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky versus Ben Rothwell. Now, both of these gentlemen have had great highs and some shit lows, but neither one of them have given up. Both of them have persevered through some serious adversity and had some astonishing greatness shown from within them. Neither one of them have really, as of late, been on that I'm going to get the belt path. I think this is a situation here where we've got two gentlemen who are both on the back nine of their career, as it were, but still far from done, just not quite, upper tier Conor McGregor-esque needle movers. So they're going to let them open the card here, and you can't really be mad at it because this is not a fight that's going to be entirely boring. This is going to be two dudes who are going to go out there and they are going to fucking bang. This is going to be Rock'em Sock'em Robot style, albeit maybe a little bit of feeling out process here, but I think this is going to end up in a phone booth style battle here. And I think in this situation, I think Arlovsky's chin has been a little bit more questionable, and Rothwell has mailboxes for fucking hands, and he can swing real fucking wide with them and still clip enough of your chin to send you into the next fucking neighborhood. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't think this fight's going to a second round. I think this is going to be Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I think 2.5, maybe 3 minutes in tops. We're looking at Rothwell catching Arlovsky right on the moneymaker and just slinking him down into a puddle here. I think Rothwell puts Arlovsky to bed.
See, I was actually thinking the exact opposite. Except for I'm thinking Rothwell third round, second round submission. That's just what I see. Like that's what I see happen. You know,
that's absolutely a possibility as well, because that's in his toolbox.
Right. I mean, dude's a monster.
Yeah.
And he can look like one too. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And the big one is Rothwell's had one fight. Who did he fight? He fought that dude that had got stabbed.
Ivanov.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. But that was a year ago. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's a big layoff. Arlovsky, I think he fought 6 months ago. I could be wrong. But, I mean, Arlovsky trains with John Jones and them, so you know Arlovsky's coming in ready to go.
Yeah, they're definitely going to put work on him.
The big thing is one, they're heavyweights. That automatically comes with power. So, at any point, it could be a jab. Lights could be out. You know what I mean? So, but no, my instinct tells me Rothwell by submission, and that's just we'll see.
Definitely see that as a possibility as well.
I can see it. I can see that happening. However, I'm going to say I'm a little biased on this one. As much as I love the fight, I love Arlovsky, but I have to stay true to my Wisconsin heritage here and go with Big Ben on this one, because you know what? Big Ben, dude, he fought a fucking killer after being laid off for like fucking 2 years in Ivanov. That was no slouch fight to come back to. They threw him straight to the fucking wolves. They didn't even give him a warm-up fight. And with that much ring rush, there was no way that he was going to beat Ivanov. I don't give a fuck what anybody said. Don't get me wrong, there was the puncher's chance involved in that one, but I knew better with having that much ring rush. He didn't look like his old self. Like he needed to be honest, he needed a soup can to get the ring rust knocked off. Instead, the ring rust got knocked off of him.
Yeah. Forcibly.
Yeah, forcibly. And I'm liable to go down your road on this one, Meter, because he does have some just fucking humongous goddamn hands. They're fucking some huge bitches. That dude, I'm telling you, he drinks PBR on the weekend, trains Monday through Friday, and comes in swinging haymakers on fucking Saturday.
So when a memory flashed in my mind when you were talking about his hands. So when I was in the Army, I was at Panama City Beach during spring break, and lo and behold, I saw a poster that said Shane Carwin at Walmart, and it was that day's date. So I went there before he was supposed to be meet and greeting people, and they were setting up, and it was a Bud Light thing, right, with UFC. And I BS with them and spoke with them, and we took a picture, and we both put our hands up, right? I'll send you guys the picture later. His hand, his like balled up fist, as big as my whole goddamn head, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you guys that photo after this.
Hell
He
yeah.
had some fucking trucks on him too. There's a couple of those guys.
Yes, sir.
But Ben Rothwell is also one of those guys. He may not have the biggest hands that have ever been in the heavyweight division, but he does have some of the bigger top end ones there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with this fight, with both of these guys kind of at that like teetering point of the back nine of their career, Arlovsky's definitely in the back nine. I think Ben Rothwell, if he can get a fire lit under his ass with this fight, he has one more shot at taking a run at the title, and I'm going to say one more, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he needs to do work here and look like the Rockwell of old, because if he does, then there's definitely that chance of him getting there, especially considering how the heavyweight division looks right now.
Right.
I mean, there's not as many killers in it as there used to be. There's still quite a few in there, but nowhere near what it used to be.
Yeah, it's not as deep as it was once upon a time.
So,
No,
it's thinned out a good bit. But I mean, at this point, this is going to be, I think, Rockwell's make or break fight on whether he gets a run at it. And I think this is going to be that fight for Arlovsky that says, do I hang him up? Although I said that on his last fight, and I really wish that he would have taken my advice and laid those fuckers down. But don't get me wrong, I love Arlovsky, but you're getting to that point where we're always talking about when is the right time to hang him up? Do you want to be a punch-drunk fucking moron when you're hanging him up where you can't consolidate words in a sentence? I mean, look at some of the fighters out there that are like that now. I mean, ones that's starting to come to mind that are still taking fights, albeit stupid fights, fucking Tito Ortiz.
Yep, fighting Alberto Del fucking Rio.
Yeah, just fucking retarded shit. Don't do that. Just hang him up. Even Big Ben, even though he's only 37.
He's been doing it for a long time.
He's got over 40 professional fights. Over 40 in the fucking heavyweight division.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been taking shots from fucking Abrams tanks over and over for over 40 fucking fights.
That's a lot of shots in the mouth.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And you haven't won them all, unfortunately. Otherwise, I might think differently, but he's got to think that same thing if he loses this fight. I mean, do I hang him up? Don't get me wrong. I don't want either one of them to hang it up because I'm a selfish prick, but at the same time, on the other side of that, looking at health and well-being in the long term of those guys, yeah, please hang them up. Don't get me wrong. I would love to drive my ass down to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and go drink beer with Ben Rothwell because that would be fucking fantastic. But,
Well, no, but he's actually got it life set up. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a gym. He has a fallback. He is settled. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing is a lot of those fighters aren't thinking like that. They're thinking, oh, this is the end all be all. No, get your shit together. Get in line with everybody else that's making those smart decisions. And for these two guys, because they're in that back half of their career, they need to really be thinking about those things. Look, Arlovsky, I don't think he has enough left in his tank for a run at the title, but I do think Big Ben does just purely on his age alone. Not when you look at the road mileage, though. That's the other key factor where I go maybe not, but I have to look at his age because I look at that 37-year-old. He's a fucking year older than I am, for Christ's sakes. I'm going, yeah, there's a very good possibility that he could keep fighting because I still have 21-year-old thoughts where I would love to go in there and fight. But I'm way fucking out of shape, and I did not pursue that as I should have if I wanted to. Yep. But, it is what it is.
That door closed.
Yep, that door closed. So now I sit here, an armchair quarterback, and tell people what to do.
That's right.
Hey, I'm okay with that.
Oh, but from that interesting little whirlwind, we will take it on to a very similar theme that seems to be recurring for this episode here, where we've got a gentleman who has been around for a hot minute, definitely on, like we say, the back nine of his career, not far, into it, granted, not on that final lap by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely not a spring chicken by any sense of the imagination. I am talking here about Francisco Trinaldo fighting this weekend against one Alexander Hernandez. Now, Hernandez at one point in time had quite possibly the biggest hype train of a prospect coming into the UFC that I have seen in a good fucking minute. This guy had fucking parades and girls with fucking streamers doing cartwheels for him and shit. Like, this guy had the whole production.
That's how he looks, bro.
He's a fancy looking motherfucker. I will give him that.
It's like Alan Joban's little stepbrother.
That's right. But the problem was they put that pretty motherfucker up against one Cowboy Cerrone. And if ever you've got a hole in your game that can be exposed, that gentleman is the fucking one to do it. Just ask Rick Story when he wakes up. So that did not end well for him. Cowboy absolutely exposed the Swiss cheese that young man was hiding behind the fucking curtain. And I don't know that he has really recovered from that, because he kind of went dark a little bit and radio silenced after Cowboy put the work to him. So I think this is going to be one of those situations where we have to find out, does this young kid that had all this hype behind him deal with absolutely flat out getting his ass kicked and come back and prove that, everybody loses once in a while. It's inevitable. Nobody's perfect forever. You got to lose one. Take it on the fucking chin, get back up, get on the fucking horse and get back after it. Or is this one of those situations where the young kid gets shook hard when he thought, he's full of himself? And we got an older guy here on the other side of the gate that needs the fucking win to stay relevant realistically, and understands that this young kid is coming for his fucking neck, and he's just going to put in the fucking work and be smarter. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup, because before Cowboy exposed the striking deficit that Hernandez has, he showed that he has got top level grappling and wrestling in his pocket at any point in time that he can go to, and he's got a decent gas tank with it. He's got that wrestling ability innately. The problem is his chin does not seem to be made of the same material as his wrestling ability. And I think this is one of those situations where Trinaldo is also a gigantic no-neck having wrestling dude, but he is
it's pronounced wrestling.
Well, excuse me, wrestling. But he also has a dangerously quick snap that can easily test the chin of anybody you put in front of him. And then you take a guy like Hernandez, who's known to have a little bit of glass right here from time to time. I think this is going to end up being a bad night for the young guy. I think this is going to be one of those situations where the fire isn't out in Hernandez, but I think he's still a little bit shook from that ass whipping that Cowboy laid on him. And I don't think he's quite fully mentally recovered from it. And I think Trinaldo is going to take advantage of that. And I think he's going to put some work in. I think he's going to put Hernandez to sleep Saturday night.
Oh, Trinaldo is extremely well-rounded. Like, he is great fighter. He's one of those guys. It's like, again, started later in life. So, he's from Brazil, so the dude's been through some shit. No matter what he was doing, he was probably busting his ass so hard just to feed his family, and then got an opportunity to fight somebody for money, and was like, "Hey, let's do this." You know what I mean?
Of course,
I don't know.
Play.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Trinaldo, the striking level so like comparing Hernandez fighting Cowboy and Trinaldo, that's two totally different fights.
Yeah. And
I honestly don't know who would win. I mean, again, like I keep saying, we'll find out, you know what I mean? But in this one, it can go either way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an either way in this. Purely on this fact. I'm not comparing Cowboy to Trinaldo. That's that's fucking apples and oranges. That's fucking fourth place Olympiad, first place Olympiad. Not even in the same fucking league. But
China buffet and golden China buffet.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking look, Alexander Hernandez just got the ever-living fuck kicked out of him 6 months ago. This happened in January when he fought fucking Cerrone. It was January. There's a reason why he went radio dark. He's still trying to get his shit back together. Now, the question is, this is the only reason I will even give him half of a second of the idea that he's going to win this fight. Did he go radio dark to purely do nothing but train his fucking ass off to fill that hole in his game? And I'm hoping that's what he did, because he did have a fucking fantastic hype train behind him. However, when you come up against a guy like fucking Cerrone, they're quick to derail trains. I'm just saying, it was a fantastic thing to watch. It was beautiful, but if he went radio silent purely to try to patch the holes in his game, he'll have a chance. However, knowing that Trinaldo is a fantastic wrestler, and has dynamite in his fucking hands for being a wrestler, Hernandez is in a lot of fucking trouble again. Because look, you can patch whatever holes in your game you want, but you can't patch a glass jaw. It doesn't work.
Ask Rockhold.
Yeah, man, it's something you can't patch. Sorry, guys. No, I say Trinaldo takes this, and it's going to be a knockout.
Well, and moving along from there to speaking of guys who just got the ever-living fuck knocked out of them on both sides of this next one, actually, we move along to one James the Texecutioner Vick versus Dan Hooker. Now, both of these gentlemen, in their own rights, in their own worlds, have been legitimate stars. And I use air quotes, and I'll tell you why. James Vick, up until he ran across one Justin Gaethje, seemed like he was the hottest skinny shit coming out of Texas for a good minute there. He legitimately had some great moments, some good fights, and then he came across the man that we talked about earlier, who is quite literally the embodiment of the fucking Walking Dead, and you have to put him out. And Vic could not, by any stretch of the imagination, put Gaethje out in any conceivable universe. And Gaethje rocked his motherfucking world. And ever since then, Vic just hasn't been able to get his head back in the fucking game. Justin Gaethje took his fucking soul. On the other side of that, Dan Hooker is the training partner of one Israel the Last Stylebender Adesanya, and we have more than a few videos to show that he may be the second hottest thing walking on New Zealand, right behind Izzy. That being said, he got dealt with quite thoroughly in one of his most recent outings as well, and his hype train got put on a quick derailment. This, in my opinion, is one of those situations where we have two guys who, in their own little pond, were big fucking fish and have since been brought into the ocean that is the UFC and have initially looked like a motherfucking guppy. So this is going to be, to me, one of those situations where either Vic gets his shit together and really starts to put it on, or Hooker takes that one loss, like we talk about, seems to have taken it in stride according to social media, went back in the gym, tightened his game up, never really had that pity party, and got right back on the horse. So I think in this situation, we're going to see that the determination, the tenacity of Dan Hooker is going to shine through over that see-through chin of James Vick. And I think we're going to see some spinny, crazy shit from Dan Hooker. And I think it's going to end up with James Vick going to sleep again on Saturday night.
Well, no, I agree with that, but it's as you were talking, the first thing that comes to my mind is heart. Hooker did lose.
Yep.
But he never quit.
No, he did
I mean,
not.
he took that body shot and he was like,
God.
and then he stood back up. And I
Somehow
can't think of the name of who I know who was fighting, but I can't think of the name. But
Edson Barboza.
Yeah, that's right. Edson Barboza let him get back up.
Yeah.
And then did it again. You know what I mean?
Edson showed why he's the most dangerous legs.
Hooker's body collapsed like after that second body shot.
Yep.
But that's just shows you the mentality of Hooker. You know, like there was no quit in his body. I mean, his body was quitting, but he wasn't quitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. His body shut down on him. He didn't have a say in that matter. Edson Barboza took everything from here to here and made it tap out.
No, there's no way in my mind that James Vick doesn't get. He might put up a fight, and it could be entertaining.
Yeah,
I don't see Vick coming out with a W.
No.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say this: Dan Hooker is going to win this fight flat out. Period. James Vick in February got worked by a UFC announcer. One Mr. Paul Felder. He worked him for 3 rounds fucking straight and worked the ever-living dog piss out of him.
Yep.
That was a completely lopsided decision that he won. I'm surprised he didn't put him away. Maybe he was just doing it to be a show pony. But maybe it's so Paul Felder had some more to talk about while he was sitting cage side calling these fights. And to be honest, I'm kind of hoping Paul Felder calls this fight because I'm not gonna lie, it would be kind of funny. Well, this is what I did to Vic, but you know, I'm sure that won't come up if he is covering the fight. But you know, it would be funny as hell to say this is what worked for me. I hope Dan looks for this, but you know.
Well, if they pair him with Anik, we all know that Anik is not afraid to mention in a fight what his fellow commentator did to the person fighting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Anik might be the guy to throw that out there for us if they pair those two up this
Well,
weekend.
so to caveat, no, I'm kidding. No, Paul Felder, not that he like didn't try to put him out. Like in my mind, it's ring time, it's experience. You know, like you are just letting loose and it's all working. Why not get some more of that in? Build your confidence. You know, now you practice this one move and like you're hot right now. So hey, I'm gonna do it now. Let me try it here. You know, so that's my thing is when some fighters don't go for the finish. You know, they're looking for that experience. So
that very well could be. However, it might be that he knew he was going to be fighting in Abu Dhabi, so that's why he worked him for 3 rounds just to get that extra ring time. Because Paul Felder is on that Abu Dhabi card.
That's right. Could have been a free sparring session for all we know. He just knew.
They're paying me to spar? Sure.
Right, and they're gonna film it too. Cool, free highlights. It's like a live PI session for him.
I'm pretty sure Dan Hooker's heart takes this fight. Doesn't matter what James Vicks does, unless he puts Dan Hooker out. It's a Dan Hooker night. I'm pretty sure the last style bender's been giving him some fucking pointers there.
Oh yeah,
sure, yeah.
Those two are fucking tight, and it's fantastic to see. And to be honest, I hope fucking Dan reaches that pinnacle. Because we have 2 guys straight out of New Zealand fucking running the show there. Dude, more fucking power to them. That would be awesome.
So, from that interesting story that we enjoyed talking about, that brings us along to the goddamn-it Beavis moment of the card that we clearly don't fucking want to talk about, but unfortunately, thanks to Dana and his fucking never-ending greed in forcing things through the UFC that he thinks are going to win, despite what the fans have screamed in protest against.
Old Greg?
About a gentleman here whose name I'm not even going to mention versus Juan Adams. Now, the best thing that I can say about this fight is that it will potentially be a chance for Juan Adams to highlight the skill set that he has. And to his credit, Juan Adams does have a very rotund toolbox. He has got all the skills to pay the bills, albeit maybe not the experience to put him on the platform he needs to be just yet. But he's also a brand new guy. He's up and coming. He's just building his way. Whereas the person they're putting him up against not only has virtually no experience, he has virtually no reason to be in this world, in this industry, in this sport, in this contest, in this fucking card, in this conversation.
Hey, Meter. You talking about that guy that beats women a third of his size?
Did you
be a cowgirl?
Is that the thing that he does? At this point, I would just encourage folks who actually care about this matchup at all for anything other than Juan Adams to Google it yourself, because I refuse to give that particular individual any screen time or notoriety on my fucking show so long as I have a fucking show. But I feel nonetheless, as if you hadn't guessed to this point, that Juan Adams is going to win this fight and hopefully embarrass his opponent in such a way that we don't have to see this piece of shit ever again, least of all on a fucking main card where they have no business.
I agree, and it's you watch his if you've ever watched the Tuesday Night Contender series, he put old boy out quick, right? And that's a grown ass man. Oh boy, you don't hit women. You know what I mean? I'll give him all the notoriety in the world, but that's gonna be the subject. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
next song. No.
All I'm going to say is the one thing that I think was failed to mention here, other than there is a useless piece of trash who should never have been allowed to enter this sport, is that fucking Juan Adams has some goddamn hands on him.
Yeah.
Dude,
He's got some mailboxes as well.
This is what I'm hoping happens. I'm not going to lie. I hope this goes down caveman style, where Juan Adams beats him fucking mercilessly. He shall who not be named right now. For fucking 2 rounds, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. And at that last second, just fucking puts his ass clean the fuck out and watch his soul leave his body, the planet Earth, and watch him immediately go into the dirt where that cocksucker belongs.
And then Dan Henderson drops an H-bomb on Michael Bisping's face. That would be glorious.
Absolutely.
What I want to know, I don't want to give this guy any time, but why has not every fucking 265 heavyweight decided, you know what? We're not going to fight this cocksucker. We refuse.
I mean,
if this was my gateway fight to say, yes, this is how I'm going to get in the UFC, I'm not coming to the UFC. I'm not going to fight someone who should not even be allowed to fight. That privilege should have been taken away a long fucking time ago. I wish they either that or guess what? Street Jesus. I see you in Whole Foods. You're going to catch hands, motherfucker. Because guess what? I see him in Whole Foods. He's probably going to catch a baseball bat to the back of his fucking dome. Because I'm not big enough to throw hands at that motherfucker. I know that. But I will goddamn hit him with a bat and make sure he goes to sleep. And I'm talking Louisville fucking Slugger. I'm coming out of the booth.
I think this is a situation where basically all of the top 15 guys pretty much have said that they're not going to come anywhere near this motherfucker. Any of them that have ever been given a microphone and asked about this particular individual that I've seen have all said they have no interest in fighting him. They won't give him the platform. And in case there's any doubt, I didn't even write his fucking name down. I literally wrote that guy on my notes here. I refuse to even write that piece of shit's fucking name.
You should have put Cowgirl.
There's a lot of things I should have put for it, but I just
douche waffle.
Yeah. But from that shit taste that's being left in our mouths in the MMA world here, we're going to move along to the co-meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes of this particular episode here, the co-main event for Saturday night, and that is one Alexei Oleinik versus Walt Harris. Now, this is an interesting matchup. This is probably one of the most acceptable co-main events I've seen on the 2019 card so far. This is a situation where we have two gentlemen who are not spring chickens by any stretch of the imagination, but also are neither really that deep into their actual MMA career with the UFC. Granted, Walt Harris has a fantastic wrestling career, grappling career outside of his UFC experience, and Alexei Oleinik is a world-renowned submission grappling artist and jiu-jitsu terrifying practitioner. His fucking, what they have now changed from the Ezekiel to the Oleinik choke is...
Did they really?
Yes, they did. They have officially called that the Oleinik choke now because he's put 3 of them down in the UFC. So they're referring to it now as the Oleinik choke. So this man is dangerous as fuck. He is absolutely a boa constrictor. But the problem is they put him up against a gentleman who is almost the same size, almost the exact same build, almost the exact same career level in terms of inside and outside the UFC, and a gentleman who has the wrestling and grappling notoriety and ability to hold him off. So I think what this one is going to come down to, as strange as it sounds, is a pair of wrestlers boxing. They've both got jiu-jitsu to a degree. They've both got wrestling to a degree. They've both got gas tanks for fucking days, but they've also both got receding hairlines. So
hey.
No. We can smell our own. It's okay.
You see this?
No, you can fuck right off.
we can tell our own. It's okay. But I think this is a situation where Alexei Oleinik is just not quite going to be able to implement his game plan. I think Walt Harris in his toolbox also has enough of a fight IQ where he's going to know what Alexei wants to do. He knows what Alexei wants to get to this. And I think he's going to make him stand up and bang and keep it awkward for him, because Walt Harris, like we've talked about with many other guys on this card, has meat for fucking hands. And if they catch you, it's a bad time for you. Alexei, while very, very dangerous on the ground and still having notable hand power of his own, does not quite have the same oomph that I feel that Walt Harris has. And I think in this situation, Harris is just going to have a little bit better of a team game plan, I guess would be the right phrase. He's going to know what Alexei wants to do, because as good as he is, he's also kind of predictable. So I think this is going to be a long battle here, but I think Harris is going to end up taking this, possibly even by a decision going to the judges.
Look, I don't know that I can say that I feel the same on this. This is the reason why. They both have fantastic grappling backgrounds, submission backgrounds, all of that. But here's the kicker. I think this comes down to, on this fight, experience. MMA experience. Olenek has fucking over 60 pro fucking MMA fights. Professional MMA fights. We were talking about fucking Rothwell having over 40. This dude puts him to fucking shame. Shame.
Look, Olenek choked a lot of people out real quick and could fight again fast.
Still, that's a lot of fucking pro fights. That's a lot of experience walking in, getting locked into a fucking cage. Doesn't matter how fast you win. It's there. Nobody's saying he fucking
did. I just mean like the damage on the body.
Yeah, so he's taking a lot less, but he's got a lot more fucking experience on this.
Yeah, Olenek's what, 42?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Walt Harris definitely got the power to fucking put him to sleep, without a fucking doubt. But I don't think this is going to be two guys standing in a box. I think they're both going to fucking end up going to their grappling. Walt's going to go for that fucking takedown, work ground and pound, and Oleg's going to let him take them out, and we're going to see another fucking Olenek jump. That's all there is to it. I'm giving him far more credit for that, because I don't think that anybody else is ever going to take them out on that man ever again, knowing what that man can do from underneath the mount.
Right.
Well, I'm leaning more towards a foot lock or an ankle hold, like some kind of foot, like I can't think of a exact submission, but during a scramble, I can see Olenek going for something that you don't see every day. You know what I mean? Just because it's in his repertoire.
He is. He's fantastic at those fucking things that you're not normally going to see. Small joint manipulations, fucking the Ezekiel choke. Nobody does that without a fucking gi, except for him.
I mean, it's extremely hard to do. I mean, he's got big hands and he's strong. Look at his reach. His arms are extremely long, which makes it even easier for him to do that.
That's why he's called the boa constrictor for a fucking reason. When you're that fucking long in the arm, those chokes are a lot easier, and it's also easier for you to get wrapped up on somebody else too.
I mean, shit. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, this is Walt Harris shoots in, starts to get like a single. Olenek kind of sprawls with one leg and throws in like an anaconda or something. You know what I mean? You know, it really depends on, as silly as this might sound, what happens in those exact moments is what's going to, the decisions that are made in those split seconds, is how the fight's going to be decided. You know what I mean?
I just don't see him phone booth fighting this one. I do not see it being a boxing match. Because don't get me wrong, they'll throw hands to start with, but it's going to end up in a grappling match. Guaranteed. Now, which way that grappling match is going to go is all going to, in my opinion, depend on where Walt Harris takes it. And this is why I say this, is he going to just be content to sit in guard? Is he going to be content to sit in half guard? Is he going to go to side control? It's going to depend on where he wants to take it. Because depending on where he takes it, Olenek's toolbox when it comes to submissions is fucking massive.
It's deep for sure.
So I think it's all going to depend on where Walt takes it. Because in the guard, you're not safe. Olenek's going to throw fucking armbar attempts, fucking triangles, omoplata, fucking. He might even try something as crazy as a fucking go-go plata in the fucking heavyweight division. If I see that, I'll fucking probably shit. But, you know, he's got some deep, and obviously he has some obscure ones that you don't see. so you don't train for them. And I think that's where Walt might run into problems, is that little obscure thing that he doesn't train for and is not positive how to get out of once he gets caught into it. So I think it's going to depend all on Walt Harris and how he decides to ride the wrestling out.
It's like I think Olynyk's going to win, but again, it is the heavyweight division and one punch, you know.
Yeah, and that's it. It could be the one punch thing, but I have a feeling it's going to end up in a grappling match, and I'm not sure who wins it.
Well, I mean, it can be in a grappling position. Think of a referee position in wrestling, and you throw, what was it? Josh Emmett just did this to Mirsad Bektic. You know, like throws like a freaking hell of an uppercut from like with the referee.
Yep, coming under the arm, catching the chin. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Bektic went to sleep. That was
just depends on what they do.
That was a hell of a match too.
That was a great fight. That was awesome. That whole card was pretty damn good.
Yeah, the matchups last weekend were very good. It was just the controversial, as we'll say, stoppages of the last two fights that really
small black eye on Sacramento.
Yeah, a pair of black eyes on Sacramento in my eyes. So, but from that will bring us to the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes. That is the meat and potatoes of these meat and potatoes for this particular episode here. We are talking, of course, about the main event of the evening, one Rafael dos Anjos versus Leon Edwards. Now, I'm not going to say that this is an unanticipated matchup because realistically, these two are both on the same course. They are both heading for the same destination. They are trying to make the same ultimate goal out of their journey here. But this, I feel, is a matchup of unequal proportions here. I think this is a situation where RDA is very much on a hot streak and showing that he is deserving of going up to the top, whereas Leon Edwards is looking good against soup cans and getting 3-piece soda in the back. This is not a situation that I feel that Leon Edwards has earned a shot against a guy like RDA with the streak that he is running right now. I think that RDA really is taking this fight because he just signed that 6-fight contract, not necessarily because this is a fight that he wants or this is a fight that he feels will help his career. I feel that this is almost RDA, for lack of a better term, in his Cowboy Cerrone phase. This is RDA saying, whoever, whenever, wherever, I signed a 6-fight deal or an 8-fight deal. I got 6 fights left on it now. Let's keep this fucking ball rolling here. Unfortunately, I think that this is a situation where Edwards is going to try to take and springboard off of RDA's name if he does somehow manage to get this fight to go his way. Now, that being said, I don't think this fight is going to go his way. I think this is a situation where basically Edwards has lucked himself into a fight that could springboard him versus RDA, who is going to, much comparatively to Paul Felder earlier, use this as a paid sparring session because realistically, Leon Edwards shouldn't pose any particular threat to RDA in any area this fight could go. He doesn't have better striking than RDA. He does not have a better gas tank. His jiu-jitsu is laughably not as good as RDA's. There, on paper, should not be anywhere that Edwards can threaten Rafael dos Anjos in this matchup. That being said, like we say every time, still, unfortunately, will always have that puncher's chance to win this. That being said, I think realistically, that puncher's chance is the only chance that Leon Edwards is going to have to win this match. Rafael dos Anjos has out-gas-tanked him. He can outstrike him, out-wrestling him. He can out-submit him from anywhere standing on the ground in the grapple. You fucking name it. I think this is going to be a chance for RDA to use Leon Edwards as a paid sparring partner and get some UFC PI caliber free highlight reels. I think we see RDA loose this weekend. I think we see him playful. I don't think this is going to be a quick fight. I think he's going to use this as a chance to go a couple rounds and try all sorts of crazy shit that we wouldn't traditionally see RDA throw. I think this is going to be one of those situations where he lets himself have fun. And for the best comparison I could think of here. Take a page right out of the Conor McGregor book and floaty. I think this is going to be a situation where RDA is going to just put on a fucking show, and Leon Edwards is going to be exposed for not being on the level that he seems to think that he is. I think RDA is going to win this one. I think he's going to win it easily, but it's not going to be quick. I think he's going to take him all the way to deep water and finish it late in the end of the fight if he doesn't just let it go to a decision and just full on coast and work this fool for the whole matchup. I think this is going to be an absolute RDA night.
Well, so even like 5-round fight, main event, awesome. Training for 5-round fights and experiencing 5-round fights are two different things. And on that note, RDA has it's like going up Mount Everest. You know what I'm saying? Like RDA has that much more experience in main event or 5-round fights, championship fights, etc. And I don't know. I guess I just don't like Leon Edwards. I mean, the last time I feel like the last time I was on one of these, we were talking about him, and I didn't have good things to say about him then. I don't think any of us did. And it's you're gonna talk shit, you're gonna get a 3-piece. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's where I'm at with that. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the guy. I don't know. I don't say that about a lot of people. That guy just rubs me the wrong way.
All right. Look, I'm inclined to say fuck Leon Edwards very quickly on this because he's not going to win that. I know that already. Shit talking cocksucker who always lets his alligator mouth overload his canary.
The Detroit guy.
Yep.
Kevin Lee
destroyed him, submitted him in the 4th round. I don't think he's going to let Leon Edwards get past the 4th round. I think he's going to do similar that he did to Lee. He's going to slowly work himself in, and I'll gas tank the fuck out of him. And then by the 4th, he's going to get that sub and call it a day. Move on to fucking bluer waters. At this point, Leon Edwards right now in this fight, he is brackish fucking waters at best.
No, he's a little bit more than a little salty.
But he's going to be really salty after this. That's all.
Yes, he will.
Oh man,
it's going to be a bad night for Leon Edwards.
It's going to be a good fight though. I mean, it's hard. Like you can almost look at all of Dos Anjos' fights, and none of them are really like boring. I mean, maybe there's one or two, but for the majority, I followed his career before. I was like since like 10 years ago. The guy I trained jiu-jitsu under, Gustavo Machado, is good friends with RDA, and nice. I missed out on a seminar with them because I was in boot camp. So it's just, I hope it goes 4 or 5 rounds and he beats the bricks off of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He'll beat the brakes clean the fuck off. That dude's not going to be able to stop falling after that.
It's going to be like the Robbie Lawler fight. You know what I mean? Because I don't think Leon Edwards can take the amount of punishment Robbie Lawler took.
No. There's no way in fucking hell. That dude does not have anywhere near the chin. Robbie Lawler's probably got one of the best chins in all of MMA, to be quite honest. But yeah. It's just going to be an ugly night. I almost feel bad for Leon Edwards for being dumb enough to take this fight. And to be on the other side of that, I almost feel bad for Rafael for taking this fight as well, because it really doesn't push him up anywhere. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's ranked outside of the top 10 that you're fighting. You better fucking win this fight. Otherwise, it's really going to hurt you in the long run.
Well, that's the thing is like RDA, I'm pretty sure he don't give a fuck. It could be the number 15 guy. He's like, that's who I'm going to fight? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to fight that guy.
Him and fucking Cowboy, those two.
I mean, he just turned Italian, but, I mean.
I'm saying, him and Cowboy, those two fuckers piss me off sometimes. Because they'll take fights because somebody has offered it to them. Yeah, sure, why not? I like the fight. No, fuck you. You're on a fucking good tier.
Yeah, but both of their names have really large paychecks next to them every fight.
This is true. And they both draw because they both show up every fucking time. I've never seen one of those two not show up to fight. Albeit they made some stupid decisions while they were fighting and had a couple losses because of stupid decisions. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm just saying. That whole take a fight no matter what thing, no, dude. I appreciate what you guys do. Please take fights that are good for your career. Because I want more of it. That's me being greedy again. Fuck it. Rafael Dos Anjos, 4th round submission. Saying back-to-back main event deep water submissions.
Definitely a possibility. That's the nice thing about RDA, though, is that when you give him a chance to shine, he generally does. And he's one of those fighters that he's got enough of a toolbox that he can just take it anywhere he really wants to, especially if he's got a chance to get floaty, as it were. He could really take this fight anywhere he wants it to go. He could make it a striker's battle. He could make it a wrestling battle. He could threaten you with submissions from anywhere, from any limb. RDA is experienced enough and well-rounded enough to where if he can get loose and have a good time, like I feel like he's going to be able to do, he can make this fight end anywhere by any means. I don't think that he's going to get real stuck in his ways here. I feel like he's going to be loose and kind of just do what he wants to do. But, you know, we're going to have to wait and see.
Man, that would be cool if RDA came to the weigh-in with some KFC and a soda.
Right?
Oh, man.
I would laugh a lot.
I really wish, like, every guy he fought from now on brings him that. That would just be like, it's just salt in the wound. Hey, remember this 3-piece? Like, I remember I posted that on Instagram. I was watching it on ESPN Plus, and when it happened, I paused it, I rewound it, I recorded it, and I put it on Facebook. I was like, this is the coolest shit I've seen all day. Like,
hell yeah.
It was good stuff. Copyright that, Dana White.
Right. Well, and the best thing is that that's almost, since that happened, that's almost become Jorge's signature now. Because if you look at how he came out with Ben, as soon as the match started, the first thing he did was put his fucking hands right behind his back, just like he did when he was walking over to fucking Leon. And then just like when he got over to Leon, when the shit gets wild, Jorge's ready. And he answered. And holy shit, did he answer? So, I mean, regardless of all the good that Leon Edwards might have done in his career so far, the thing that's most notably attached to his name for a good minute now is catching that 3-piece in a soda backstage from Jorge. Now, whether that was motivation enough for him to really get on his grind and work his shit out so that he stands a chance against RDA, we're going to have to wait and see.
Well, if he wants to fight Jorge, he's got to beat RDA.
Yeah, and he's got to do it definitively, not just close. He's going to have to do something impressive in stopping RDA if he even wants a chance at getting close to Jorge. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go. I don't think he's got what it takes to do that to RDA. Least of all, do that to Jorge. But, you know, sometimes you got to let a little kid dream. If they want to be a space pony and an astronaut, you got to let them think they can do both until they figure out on their own that one of those isn't real. I mean,
what's an astronaut?
Exactly. Who knows? It's a disc. We're flying upwards at 9 meters per second.
Squared.
That's right. That's right. Oh, let's see here. I believe that is all we have got for this evening here. So before we take it on out, I do want to take it around the room real quick. If they have somehow managed to make it through this whole episode, but they need some blues talk in their life, Alan, how are they going to be able to get a hold of you after the show's done?
Well, let's see. Instagram, it's Ekipnella. If you can tell me what it means, I'll give you a high five. Yeah, that's it. Ekipnella. Hit me up if you want to. I mean, if you don't, nobody cares.
Thank you for taking the time out, brother. Always appreciate it here.
I miss it.
Now, if for some reason somebody thinks that Green Bay just isn't a city that loves football, how
They like cheese
are
curds.
they going to be, TJ?
He's right. They do love cheese curds a lot. You guys can find me at 9:30 Central Time, Wednesday nights, Culty Vapes on the YouTubes. You can also find me on the Instagrizzles. And that's probably about it. I mean, you can email me if you want to. I'll reply, but having emails back and forth, it's hard for me to call you a dumb fuck when you're wrong. So, good luck. You guys on Wednesday, I guess.
Oh,
You guys want to see my winner?
that's how it starts. Oh, snap. He did it.
You ever been licked by a wiener?
Not on camera.
All right, boys, I got to go.
Well, thank you for stopping in, brother.
Oh, no problem. As soon as I got the YouTube notification before I got the Instagram message. YouTube popped up and was like, hey, number 26, we're doing this.
Right?
And I
Damn
was
right.
All right. Good talking, boys.
Have a good one, brother.
Oh, can't find the end button.
You can't find the end button.
I hit the end button.
Oh, you didn't.
No, you didn't. You're still here.
No!
Kids these days, I tell you.
I'm glad this is live. Should I boot him?
No.
You should have been able to answer that if you hit the end button.
It's going to bother me.
But that is all we've got for this evening, folks. Remember, if at some point throughout this shenaniganry-filled episode we have made you laugh, we have given you a concept that you hadn't thought about on your own previously, we made you just think from an angle that you didn't have on your own, give us a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. Hell, if we made you chuckle, maybe Pete a little bit, share an episode, help us grow this damn thing. On the other side of that coin, if we just sounded like a couple of dumbasses talking over each other for the last hour and however, give us a thumbs down. I won't dispute that in the least bit. But what I do have is nothing left for you. So we are going to call that all for this evening. Remember, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. And to the man who is left unnamed, you, sir, can eat shit. And it doesn't matter if that cock-a-brown or if that cockatiel. Have a great night, folks. Uh-oh. I think our closer's broken.
On that note, I guess we'll just have to play with our cockatiels.
Damn it, Beavis. I think our closer broke.
Oh, I guess in the meantime, while the closer's fucking gone, you know, go pull some fucking other news up there.
Well, we're going to wrap this up without a thank you screen then tonight. Have a great one, folks. See you on the next one.
Well, peas and chicken.